Terran Contact. Section 1. The Signal. The Deep Space Observatory on the fringes of the Hfyscifistories Dominion had long been a quiet, uneventful post. For decades, the station had monitored cosmic radiation, mapped distant star clusters, and occasionally catalogued rogue asteroids. It was tedious work, assigned primarily to young astrophysicists earning their stripes or older scientists who preferred solitude over political intrigue. Junior astrophysicist Rel Varin belonged to the former category. His downy feathers, still tinged with the pale blue of youth, fluffed slightly in boredom as he reviewed yet another batch of routine scans. His taloned fingers danced lazily over the controls, until an alert flashed across his screen. A signal, not just background noise or a stray burst of gamma radiation. This was structured, purposeful, intelligent. Rel's feathers flared in alarm as he ran it through every known linguistic database. The computer struggled to decipher it, but the repeating patterns were unmistakable. With a few adjustments, the message resolved into something chillingly clear. "We are the Terrans. We come in peace." He felt his heart's hammer in his chest. The Dominion had encountered alien species before, minor civilizations that had barely reached spaceflight, fractured empires that had collapsed before they could be threats. But never before had an unknown race reached out to them. Within hours, the Hfyscifistories High Council was in emergency session. The Dominion's leaders, their plumage flashing in anxious discussion, debated the significance of the message. Was this a trap? A declaration of intent? Or, perhaps most terrifying of all, an invitation? The signal's origin was traced to a star system that had previously been considered unremarkable. So, after much deliberation, the decision was made. The Hfyscifistories would send an envoy. They would meet the Terrans. Section 2. First Impressions. The Hfyscifistories diplomatic vessel, Varric's Grace, emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the Sol system. The transition was smooth, but the tension in the bridge crew was palpable. Every sensor was active, scanning for any sign of hostility. And then they saw them, Terran ships. Unlike the flowing, organic curves of Hfyscifistories vessels, these were angular, symmetrical, and built for efficiency. They were not just functional, they were armored, bristling with weaponry. It was the kind of design that belonged to a species that had known war. A transmission came through, clear and confident. Hfyscifistories vessel, this is Captain Elias Carter of the United Terran Nations. You are welcome in Sol space. Please follow our escort to the designated meeting point. Ambassador Veltar, a seasoned diplomat, watched the view screen with a keen, practiced gaze. He had encountered dozens of alien species, negotiated treaties, and witnessed civilizations rise and fall. But there was something about the Terrans that unsettled him. They were bipedal, mammalian, and lacked the natural defenses of the Hfyscifistories. No claws, no armored hides, no venomous barbs. And yet, as Veltar observed their steady, unwavering gazes, he realized something unnerving. These creatures were not prey. Their eyes held intelligence, curiosity, and something else. Something dangerous. The Varric's Grace was guided toward a magnificent blue-green planet, Earth. It was unlike any homeworld Veltar had ever seen, lush, vibrant, alive in a way that spoke of a species that had fought to tame it. When he finally stepped onto the human diplomatic station, the first exchange was simple but momentous. Veltar extended his clawed hand. The Hfyscifistories Dominion greets the United Terran Nations. Carter grasped it firmly, his grip strong but not aggressive. "And Earth welcomes you." Section 3. Strength behind diplomacy. 4 days, diplomatic talks proceeded smoothly. The humans were efficient, polite, and eager to establish relations. They spoke of trade, cultural exchange, and technological cooperation. On the surface, everything seemed ideal. And yet, Veltar could not shake his unease. The humans were too prepared, too calm. They welcomed the Hfyscifistories with open arms, but there was no hesitation, no doubt, no fear. Even the most powerful species usually showed something upon encountering a new galactic civilization. So Veltar asked, "Your people, you speak of peace, yet your ships are built for war. Your history, from what little you have shared, is filled with conflict. Tell me, Captain Carter, what is the true nature of your species?" Carter smiled, but there was something behind it, something unyielding. "We don't seek war," he said, "but we don't run from it either." That was when the Cathari were invited to observe a military demonstration. Their warships were smaller than those of the Dominion, but they were dense, layered with redundant armor, shield generators, and point defense systems that worked in seamless synchronization. And then there were the simulations, hypothetical battles against Cathari strategies. The humans adapted instantly. They did not rely on brute strength or superior numbers. They changed tactics mid-fight, outmaneuvered opponents, and employed strategies that were reckless, yet devastatingly effective. Veltar realized a chilling truth. If the Terrans were ever forced into war, they would not just defend themselves. They would win. Section 4. The Unseen Threat. The diplomatic summit was disrupted by an urgent transmission from Cathari space. The Dominion's border colonies were under attack. The Zorvex, a brutal, expansionist empire that had long been contained by the Dominion's fleets, had launched a full-scale invasion. Cathari warships were being overwhelmed. Entire planets were falling. Veltar felt his feathers rise in distress. "We must return immediately." Carter's voice was steady. "Let us help." The ambassador hesitated. "This is not your war." Carter's expression darkened. "We have a saying, an enemy of our friend is our enemy. If the Zorvex threaten our allies, they threaten us." Within hours, a joint Terran Cathari fleet was assembled. As they entered hyperspace, Veltar could not help but wonder, had they underestimated humanity once again? Section 5. The Meaning of Contact. The battle for the Cathari colonies was brutal. The Zorvex, expecting a weakened and unprepared Dominion, were met instead by a force unlike anything they had encountered. Terran ships fought with unrelenting precision. Their weapons cut through Zorvex formations, their AI-driven tactics adjusting in real time. Cathari admirals, initially skeptical of human strategy, soon found themselves learning from their Terran counterparts. The Zorvex broke. Their forces, shattered and demoralized, retreated into deep space. As the last enemy vessel fled, Veltar turned to Carter. "You had no obligation to help us, and yet you did." "Why?" Carter smiled. "Because that's what friends do." At that moment, Veltar understood. Terran contact was not just a diplomatic event. It was a beginning of something greater, an alliance that would shape the fate of the galaxy.